Zoran stood at the edge of Lake Ohrid, where the water met the sky in a seamless blur of sapphire. At 18, he felt caught between the currents, no longer the boy who splashed in these shallows, but not yet the man the world expected him to be. The air was thick with the scent of wild thyme and the distant chime of bells from the old town. He adjusted the collar of his jacket, watching the white swans glide past the ancient stone docks. He climbed the steep, winding alleys to reach his grandmother, Biljana's house. She was waiting in the courtyard, her apron filled with dry, papery onion skins she had been saving for months. To Zoran, she seemed as permanent as the fortress walls above them. She didn't offer a lecture on his long absence. Instead, she handed him a wicker basket and gestured toward the kitchen. Inside, the kitchen was a laboratory of tradition. Biljana stood over a large copper pot, submerged in a cloud of fragrant steam. She explained that the best dyes didn't come from a box, but from the earth. Onion skins for deep mahogany, nettles for a soft forest green, and beets for a bruised purple. She moved with a practiced rhythm, her presence commanding the small, warm space. "The first egg must be red," Biljana whispered, her voice like rustling silk. She carefully lowered a white egg into a separate pot of crimson dye. This was the shuvarshe, the protector. Zoran watched as the shell transformed, soaking up the color of life and sacrifice. Together they sat at the table, the red egg cooling between them like a glowing coal. Biljana handed Zoran a pishalka, a small wooden stick tipped with a tiny metal funnel for melting wax. He remembered the shaky lines he used to draw as a child. Now, his hands were steady. He began to trace the patterns of the famous Ohrid lace onto a fresh white egg, the smell of warm beeswax filling his senses. For the first time all year, the noise in his head went silent. As the sun dipped behind the mountains of Albania across the water, the town began to stir. Biljana brought out a tray of kozjak, sweet Easter bread braided with raisins. She and Zoran shared a piece, the sugar dusting their fingers. The transition from the quiet afternoon to the holy night was beginning, and the house felt charged with an ancient energy. Near midnight, Zoran joined the procession toward the church of St. Jovan Caneo, perched precariously on a cliff over the lake. He walked alone through the throngs of people, feeling the collective heartbeat of the city. He carried a tall, unlit beeswax candle, its smooth surface cool against his palm. The stars above mirrored the hundreds of unlit wicks waiting for the flame. "Christos voskreise!" The cry erupted as the clock struck 12. The priest emerged from the church, and light began to spill outward. Biljana found Zoran in the crowd, her face illuminated by her own flickering flame. She leaned toward him, shielding the fire with her hand as she passed the light to his candle. The darkness of the cliffside vanished in a golden roar of candlelight. They returned to the house, the candles still burning bright. Now came the kreskanje, the battle of the eggs. Biljana chose a small, dark brown egg, dyed with onion skins, claiming it was the toughest of the bunch. Zoran chose his wax-patterned red egg. They faced each other across the table, the competitive spirit of generations flashing in their eyes. Zoran struck the top of Biljana's egg with a sharp clack. His egg remained perfect, while hers bore a tiny spiderweb crack. He looked at the red shell in his hand, then at the lake visible through the window, shimmering under the moonlight. He realized that tradition wasn't a weight to carry, but a bridge to cross. He was ready for the morning, and whatever the year would bring.